Hi, Ariel.
And hi, Ellen.
I just want to welcome you and thank you for taking over for Ori.
Yes, yes. Nice, meeting you despite the fact that we don't see each other, but one of these days, huh?
Yeah, one of these days, maybe at an event or something.
Good, good. Which part of the US are you based in?
I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, I've been there many times. Nice city.
Really?
Yeah,
You liked it?
Yes, indeed, especially in the winter when the surrounding mountains were covered with snow. Yep.
Yeah, it's snowing right now.
Oh, okay, good then. Good timing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Just started.
I had some customers in Provo, so I was landing there and taking a car driving south. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So you are familiar with the area then.
Yes. Not to mention the parks, you know, Zion and Bryce and Arcs and so on. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to go back there. It's a longer drive for us, but I've been to Zion and it was so nice.
Amazing, amazing. Spectacular,
Yeah.
really. Like, I've been to so many
Yeah.
parks. Wow.
Cool.
Okay, let me mute.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Oh, good afternoon.
Oh, yes, yes.
Good afternoon.
So you're in France, Daniel, or?
Yes, exactly.
I can tell by your accent.
Is it that obvious? I try to hide it though.
Why would you? It's actually a cool accent.
Where are you from?
I'm in San Francisco at UC Berkeley, professor, and also working on Opaque in San Francisco. But originally, I'm from Romania.
Okay. Nice.
Bună ziua, doamna.
Bună ziua. It seems like there's some new faces that weren't there last time, right?
Yes, I'm Ariel Kena from Hub Security. I'm replacing Ori, who left the company. So I'm the new product marketing manager. So I'll be taking over. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, we're waiting for a few more people to join. How is everyone?
Good.
Doing well, thanks.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Sorry for the delay. I'm having some connection issues. And so we can get started. And Helen, I wonder if you could help me displaying the slides.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me share my screen. Do you see that?
Yes, perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Helen. So
Yep.
again, apologies for the delay. It's actually a holiday 4G, and I had an issue with the connection. So I apologize for that. Can you guys hear me well?
With some interruptions, but we can hear.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Helen, if you can go to the next slide, please. So the Confidential Opinion Consortium is a community focused on open source lessons projects, securing data in use, and accelerating the adoption of confidential computing through open collaboration. Every member here is welcome. Every project meeting or criteria is welcome. We're transparent and a collaborative community. As members, contributors, and leaders, we pledge to make the participation in our community a harassment-free experience for everyone. We can go to the next slide, please. So this is the antitrust policy notice. If you have any questions, you can ask Helen and the Linux Foundation. At the next slide. And this is the agenda for today's meeting. So one of the big topics that we want to discuss is the 2023 outreach goals and budgets. We will also talk about the website and how that's going. And if Ben joins, I'm not sure, I don't see him online, but if he joins, he can discuss that as well. I see that Aaron is online and Mike as well. And you might want to discuss the Wikipedia adathon as well. And we can add that to our budgets. Regarding the events, there are a lot of events that we're planning for 2023. And I see that Haluka is online as well.
Yeah.
And Laura, and we want to support as many events as possible to help with our goals for 2023 as well. And next up.
Nick, there's also a number of people who are new faces on the call. I wonder if we want to get some introductions or something.
Ah, yes, perfect. Yes, I think that's a good idea. We just had a webinar a while ago. We can discuss a bit more about this. The social media, there's also a proposal up. And let's take your suggestion then, Haluka, and let's have each one introduce themselves. So Haluka, maybe we can start with you, and
Okay.
then we can go around for anybody who wants to introduce themselves, please feel free to speak. So go ahead, please.
Good. Sounds good. I'll keep it short. So yeah, hi everyone. I'm Raluca. I'm professor at UC Berkeley and working a co-founder at Opaque. I work in confidential computing, both in terms of research and in terms of a real company, building this in the real world. And yeah, I just love everything that has to do with privacy preserving technologies. I'm, really want to make this happen and really want to see the world using this.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Haluka. And who could go next, please?
Yeah, Ariel Kane. I'm the new guy on this call from, representing Hub Security. I'm the product marketing manager at Hub Security. And the previous guy who was representing us left the company this week, so I'm taking over. Looking forward to participate and hear what others are doing in the industry.
Wonderful. Welcome, Ariel. And who will be next?
I'll go. Hi, everyone. I'm Aaron Yee. I work at Anjuna Security. I'm building out the product marketing team. And like many of you, I'm really excited to bring this technology to the market.
Thank you, Aaron. That's great. And we really appreciate your help with the Wikipedia as well.
And this is, just real quick, hey, Mike Farron-Jones from Intel. Yeah, I am the go-to-market lead for data center security technologies.
Welcome, Mike. Thank you.
I can go next. Hi, everybody. I'm new here. I'm Chester. I was advised by Raluca a little while ago, so I was at Berkeley. Now co-founded Opaque with Raluca. Obviously, very excited about the area as well. So nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Chester. And who else?
Hello.
Okay.
Oh, so sorry.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
can
you can
go
go.
very quickly. So I'm from Edgeless marketing team. Thomas cannot be here today, by the way. So that's why I'm taking over. And of course, as everyone else, very excited. I'm actually quite new to the confidential computing space, but really excited to bring this forward as well.
No problem. Everybody's new to the confidential computing space. So thank you, Laura, and welcome. And Daniel, I guess you're next.
Yeah, so I am Daniel Wynn. I am the CEO co-founder of Mid-Free Security, and we work in confidential computing for AI.
Wonderful. Marcus, would you like to go next, please?
Thank you. Yeah, Marcus, I'm with Google working on the confidential computing initiative that we have internally, and also incredibly excited to be part of this group and helping out in any way, shape, or form I can.
Wonderful, thank you. And I believe the last one is Nicholas.
Yes, hello everyone. Actually, I've been lurking around these calls since the very first ones. I'm from Decentric. Senior product manager. Yeah, happy to re-meet all of you that I have met before and all the ones that I haven't.
Yes, that's wonderful. Thank you, Nicholas. And so, Helen, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Sure, I'm Helen. I'm from the Linux Foundation, and I am here to guide you along the meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you, Helen. And thank you for helping me with the slides as well. If you could go to the next one, please. So we had some minutes, and I guess they get approved automatically. Is that correct, Helen?
Yep, if we don't have quorum, if there are no objections or any changes to the last meeting minutes, they are automatically approved.
All right. Thank you very much. And I think we can go to the next slide. So this is one of the main topics that we want to discuss today, which is the 2023 outreach goals and budgets. And you can open this document, the link above. And we worked to analyze this and to see what are our main goals for the next year, what do we want to bring, and how we can work good budgets to achieve those goals. So, of course, we want to bring visibility and awareness, not only to bring new members, also new projects, and be present at events. So we're looking at participating in some events next year. Of course, we have OC3, which we have sponsored this year and the past one as well. And I think we all agree that we should sponsor OC3 again. So Laura, if you want to discuss a bit more about OC3 and what's that about, that would be great.
Yes, of course. So I think we already mentioned this, but OC3 is scheduled for the 15th of March next year. And as per usual, it brings together all of our community to discuss all the latest developments. Submissions for papers are also open, I should mention. I can, 1 second, send you the link. Regarding sponsorships, I also think discuss with you. We already, the gold sponsorships are gone, but we still do have silver and bronze, and we offered you a discount, so to say, for the consortium. And with silver sponsorship, it also includes a talk. So I think that could be a really interesting option. But other than that, yeah, I can also send you the sponsorships prospectus for more details.
Yes, so we discussed this, me, Ravi, Helen, and Kurt, and we have agreed to sponsor on the bronze level, as we did the other years as well.
Okay.
And so if no one here has an objection to that, I think we can move forward with that. And I'll just, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, just a quick, does the bronze sponsorship involve a speaking opportunity, or is it mostly just present signage?
Yeah, so bronze sponsorship does not include a talking opportunity, but it's more about, yeah, the participants list and such kind of data.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, so if you could get in touch with Helen to make sure that we can move this forward, and we'll be sponsoring this as we have the other years as well, right?
Okay, perfect. So then I will send you the agreement and all of that.
All right, thank you. And so other events that we're looking forward to participating are events by the Linux Foundation. So we have several events happening. And since we're part of the Linux Foundation, it's easier to be present there. So we can be part of open source summits, for example, both in North America and in Europe as well. KubeCon is also a very nice venue for us to discuss any type of how we are adopting cloud native techniques and how confidential computing fits into that. So we're looking into participating in those events as well. And we're setting aside a budget from 30,000 to 50,000 to participate in those events. There are several sponsorship opportunities. Open source summits, it's more budget friendly. KubeCon is more expensive, but we think it's worth it as well because KubeCon is much larger. And we're going to be checking, me, Helen, and Robin and Kurt, if there are any ways that we can participate and not pay a full sponsorship value as a company, but as a non-profit. And we'll be checking that and make sure that we can participate there as well. There are other industry events which are much more expensive, which are outside of the Linux Foundation, like RSA, Black Hats, Cybersecurity Asia. These events, they require a lot of investments, and we're not sure yet if we should invest much. $50,000 sounds like a lot, but that will cover just the basics of RSA, for example, or black hats. So we have to think this more carefully. But DEF CON is a more community-oriented event, and I think we should participate there and sponsor that event as well. We did participate this year, and it was very well received. It was very successful. So I think that's a good venue for us to participate as well. And one of the events that I'm really excited about is the Confidential Computing Summits. And I think what's exciting about this is that we'll be able to participate as an organizer as well, a co-organizer. And so thank you, Haluka, for the invitation. And I see that Mike has his hands up. Would you like to ask something?
Yeah, I was curious about the, particularly about the big and expensive events. For example, at Intel, our experience at like RSA and Black Hat is, we just, there are a lot of people there, but there's also a million topics there, and a lot of other, other things, and it's not confidential computing focused at all. And so we were all, whenever, my little bit of Intel, confidential computing, always struggled at those big events, just because, it's just hard to get attention in that environment. I'm wondering if we might consider the budgets of those things and heading more towards something like the privacy enhancing technology summits, where the audience is exclusively focused on these kinds of technologies.
I see. Yes, I think that's a very good point. We were at Black Hat, and we actually worked together with Intel at their booth, and they helped us to. We had some flyers there to distribute those. I agree with you completely, and that's why I think we should reconsider our participation at events like Black Hat and RSA, and invest in more pets-oriented events. So I agree with you completely, and so we're taking notes at this, and I think it's the right approach. I agree with you.
I think it's interesting. I see that mini summit bullet there. That if you're gonna do something at Black Hat or DEF CON, you might consider like a day zero, off-site pre-event, or like an evening before cocktails and heavy appetizers things focused on confidential computing, where you're not maybe directly competing with the stir and drum of the conference, and you can invite specific people interested in the technology. But I'm sure we're not the only one with that idea. So
yeah, so we were at Black Hat and also DEF CON this year, and what we really liked about DEF CON is that they have the crypto and privacy village, which fits really well with the CCC goals and values. So, and DEF CON is a community-oriented event, so it really fits well, and I think we should sponsor that next year. Black Hat, we might have just a small participation, even working with members like Intel and others that were on the floor. We could follow the same strategy that we had this year, and not invest as much in terms of having a booth, which we know it's very expensive. And I agree with you. And I see that, Haluka, you have your hands up.
Yeah, just since we also looked a lot at these events and participate to kind of get a sense, I agree with the sentiment that, there's so many topics, especially at RSA. I'm not sure that the PT is going to be a good replacement, because we also participated there, and it's mostly just the solution providers. And if you want, I see here in point D, it's like an end user focus, right? If you kind of want to have that in the mix, the PTs didn't really have users almost at all. It was mostly just companies providing solutions. So I think PTs are very relevant for sure. I just don't know if it's a full replacement. I do find it interesting to have some presence at these bigger conferences, even though I agree they're unfocused and perhaps not as effective. But it's kind of sad, for example, when I was at RSA, that there was almost nothing about confidential computing. There was hard to find. And so it just may be good to have a presence, just even a small presence, just to, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have a concrete proposal. I'm just saying that I don't think PTs are necessarily a very good replacement. They could be an addition or something like that.
What I think we should do, the Confidential Computing Consortium should sponsor the cocktail napkins at RSA. And so we'll buy you 100,000 CCC logoed cocktail napkins, something like that.
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you for your input. I think that's very valuable. And I think we should take this into consideration when it comes to sponsorship. Now, going to the Confidential Computing Summit, I think that's one of the most interesting opportunities that came up, because it's as I understand it, it's a multi-stakeholder event where the CCC can play a role, and we have discussed what kind of budget we can provide as part of the Confidential Computing Summit. So I think something anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000 dollars, which is depending on the type of the conference, it might seem like a lot, but it's not, because it can be quite expensive, especially because it's going to be in San Francisco, right? But more than just sponsoring the events, we want to help as much as possible and invite everyone who is part of the outreach committee and everyone who's part of the CCC to actually help organize this conference as much as possible.
Yeah, that sounds great. And
Haluka, I'm not sure if you can provide more. It was already discussed on our last meeting.
Yes, absolutely. This conference will also have a huge user focus. Why? Because obviously we want confidential computing to be adopted. We want people to understand what it can provide and how it compares to other technologies. So at least 50% of the participants will be end users, the developers, data scientists, anybody who would want to use this. Now on the rest, we already have confirmation for like big platform players. And so, for example, Intel, VMware, NVIDIA, actually with their GPUs, Google, Microsoft, all of these have expressed desire to participate, to be part of the PC committee for, judging submissions, to also sponsor. So I've talked to these bigger like platform ones so far, and once we kind of discuss here, want to open it up for more, wider and, everybody to kind of participate, submit, sponsorship, and also to submit, submissions. But it's nice that we have, the kind of the big platform players here. And another thing that we're very excited about is that we actually managed to co-organize this with a very large data summit. Because like the Data and AI Summit in San Francisco, it's thousands of people. It's extremely popular. They're taking over the convention center in SF. And it's nice because the data people are people who need to secure the data, right? We need to protect confidential data. And there's, so we are running on the last day of that summit because the last day is very light. At the hotel that's just nearby, like literally a few steps on foot. And we also secured an Inventi team, which is the same conference that the same organization that is organizing Data Plus AI Summit, which is a very, very good. And so they're already booked the hotel. It's going to happen in June. And I think the organization should be very good because they are exceptional.
That sounds great. And I would like to open the floor for everyone to discuss this. If anyone has.
One quick
Yeah,
point
go
I
ahead.
forgot to mention is that we'll also have an academic presence. It's going to be smaller, of course, because really the idea is to get this to use and adoption and whatnot. But we will also have, basically the summit will span everything in confidential computing. We'll span all the top academics doing work, enabling this to be adopted and used. Then we'll have the top platform providers, we'll have the companies that are, pushing the edge in this case, and we have lots of potential users. So it's really supposed to be a place where everybody comes together to enable adoption of this technology and use.
Sounds perfect. And so I would like to open the floor for everyone to discuss this. If anyone has any objections, please let us know. But I think we're going to be moving forward in terms of not just sponsoring this at this level. We didn't receive any prospectus or any sponsorship values, but this is what we came up with, a budget around $30,000 to $50,000 to help with the summits, and also not just sponsoring, but helping us an organization and also us individuals to help with this multi-stakeholder conference. So I would like to hear your opinion and what's your feeling about this, if anyone has any objections to this.
I like the focus. I think it's it is likely to be a much smaller presence than anything that you're going to see at RSA, but you are going to get the people who attend are very interested. I think one of the things that we should be mindful of is we need to recruit end users and the people who are interested but not yet decided.
Yes. Yes.
So I think we at OC3, for example, I find to be an amazing community and developer conference where the people who the people who are believers in confidential computing can gather and share information and share ideas and get inspired. But I think the number of new selling prospects into that is limited. I think since we have the control on how this confidential computing summit comes together, I think we should go for a real good mix of the community, the existing community, and then end users and other people who are maybe even some regulators who may be interested in how does confidential computing play into regulation. I think that would be a great opportunity to start bringing those folks together rather than just winding up with OC3 Part 2.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. And thank you so much. This is exactly the kind of feedback I want, and sorry for taking notes. Absolutely. And that's why the first step is we're co-locating with a huge data event where there's just users who, have to worry about securing their data on a daily basis or other aspects of data. And so that's the first step, but I agree with you. It's really important that, we do a very concerted effort in getting everybody, including those who are on the fence. Completely agree. And the regulators also sounds very interesting. So I'll write that down as well.
I think there have been some privacy-focused conferences where there have been like more regulators. I don't remember the name of Privacy Tech or something like that. I guess that's the kind of stuff we can use to diversify our reach.
Oh yeah, that's great. Can you say again what was the exact resource? Sorry, I want to write it down.
I have to find it. I forgot. But
can you please send it to me?
Yeah, I will. I'm going to have a look.
Sounds good. Do we have any objections?
It's not an objection, but also I guess it's also good to define what kind of targets. I mean, is it the technical audience? Is it like regulator? I mean, who are the targets of the outreach? But also, how do we measure that? Is it through a newsletter? Is it through like, I don't know, whatever? But I guess it's also important that we are able to measure our progress. I don't know if we have stuff like that.
That is,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna. I think that's an excellent idea to keep an eye on, which is particularly for an industry consortium like the CCC. How do you measure success in these? Because as individual companies, we of course measure our success in hey, new sales prospects, customer contacts, things like that. But from an industry consortium, what is the measure of success? Is it how many? I thought that was an interesting thing. Like, how many new people do you get signed up to your newsletter, or how many new people do you get signed up as members and things like that? I think would be a good thing to think about. We don't want our participation in these events to just be completely ethereal.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
I think that's a good idea, and I especially like the the number of subscribers, like for a newsletter or something.
Yeah, now we're in the newsletter business. Somebody's got to go do that. So.
Yeah. But like, for instance, do we know how many people are registered to the CCC newsletter currently, and what are their profiles? Because the easiest thing to do is just to look at that and also ask them to register like who they are, like developers, users, legal, that kind of things. So at least we can measure. It's kind of raw, but it's still like, a good idea to see the impact on the regulatory, traction or the developer traction, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I guess we can look at the goals that we have and use that as a framework for establishing what metrics we're going to be measuring. And so I guess driving membership is one of those goals. Inviting new projects. There are many projects that are on the confidential computing area that are emerging right now, but they're not exactly open source, or they might be open source, but they're not part of the CCC yet. So if we could drive those projects to be part of the CCC and to be open source, I think that would be one key metric as well. Adoption, as we can see here on the Google Docs, it's harder to measure this. How can we measure adoption of end users? But if we could somehow find metrics to see how this helps us with adoption, that would be great as well. I think those are some metrics that we can explore.
Agreed.
I mean, I guess it depends on what is the funnel we have in mind, because there's like listening to a newsletter, and at the end, I guess there is interacting with a CCC, project. I don't know, like I don't know how much we want to put for what specific solutions of the consortium, but one way to think of that is simply you have a generic funnel at the beginning, but at some point you say, okay, oh, you need that, then go see that member of the CCC. Oh, you need that, then go there. But at least we can track it, and members who choose to do this could share the metrics with other people and say, oh yeah, from the CCC I got 50 new users. And then it's win-win, because then we can, as member of the consortium, we can we get some inbound, but also then we can share that information and the feedback to the rest of the consortium. Because if we just look at very high level, like registering on a newsletter, I don't know if it's that much of a signal. But if we go all the way through, like until some people actually try the product, one of the products, I guess we can get more insights.
Yeah, I think another interesting metric is just the number of users that attend the conference, right? Actual users besides technologists. Because I feel like that's one thing that's missing from a lot of the conferences like OC3 and whatnot, just users who are considering using the technology.
But I think users is good, but if we really want to be, if we really want to go deep, I guess actual usage is important to be measured, because people can look at the pretty GitHub, but how many actually use it, or how many actually register to, I mean, it depends. Is it the goal of CCC to go all this way and measure actual usage of CC-based solutions, or would we just do awareness? I guess that's also a question we need to answer.
I think it's also a question. Usage won't happen in that day, Usage is also something that, might take a few weeks to months, but it could be a result of that day, but it just won't happen instantaneous, right? They have to go talk to their company and might take a bit, but of course that end goal.
But for instance, I guess for open, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I think right now I agree with Haluka. Right now it's more awareness. So the actual usage of computational computing will take months and much more than just organizing an event, right?
Yeah.
You have to be much more than that. I see that Nicholas has his hand up, and go ahead, please.
Yes, so I actually want to say, similar to what you just said, that I don't know about everyone here, but most of the time that I speak with people outside of this room, the problem is not so much of, hey, what projects do CC has and all that, is that they don't know what CC is. Mm-hmm. And especially when we're talking, and even if we don't talk in a vacuum, which now we do, right, is that they know what homomorphic encryption is, they know what secure multi-party computation is, they don't know what confidential computing is. So I don't care personally so much if I will get lead funnels from the CCC as much as I track some metrics on, do people actually know what confidential computing is compared to other technologies? Mm-hmm. And I think that
I have to laugh. I almost wrote that sentence verbatim yesterday.
Completely agree. There's so much confusion. Is differential privacy what I need versus homomorphic encryption versus confidential computing? And to us, the answer is clear. It's confidential computing, right?
Yeah.
But people have to.
And which one can you deploy right now?
Practical, right?
Yeah.
And doesn't have inaccuracy issues like differential privacy. And
Yes.
So it would be interesting to think. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Haluka. If you want to give some closing comments, and then I think we can wrap this up and discuss other topics. But yes, go ahead, please.
So so it would be just to set the context, as a first-time event in June, it would be a one-day event because we want to be like high energy, lots of people coming, and then it's going to be hopefully 2 days next year, right? And hopefully it's going to blow up in attendance. Right now, we're really targeting something like maybe 200 people in person, which for a first event, I think it's quite nice. But the idea is that this should ideally blow up, right, over each year. The other thing I want to discuss with you guys is, let's think of concrete ways that CCC participates and co-organizes. I mean, definitely I want you guys on the PC committee, and but also like it would be nice for CCC to maybe run a panel. This was proposed last time by Ravi. Or I know if you want to talk, I think a panel would be nice. In that panel, you can have a slide on CCC and newsletter or whatnot, but then CCC could moderate a different discussion from different players. So I think it would be worth to start thinking about some of these concretes.
Yes, perfect. So we're going to be working together with you to define this. Great. And also one last question. I think everyone here is interested. How can each individual representing their companies and also representing the CCC, how can they work together to help these events?
Yeah, this is great. So I need a few things. So one, I definitely need people to be on the PC committee, because we're going to have a PC committee where people are going to we're going to also open submissions, right? To submissions for talks and everything that's super relevant to the space and enables the space to get used. And so I'd love people to volunteer to be on that committee. It's not much work. You're probably going to get 3 or so submissions to just give a score. 3 or 4. I don't know the exact number right now because I don't know how many will apply. Then you guys should also advertise them. You should also participate. We'll finalizing sponsorship prospectus if you want more than that booth, and if you want, other things. Again, we're not trying to make this a very expensive event, so we're not going to charge a lot for the ticket. The ticket, I think, right now is something like $120, just enough so we don't get people, who come for the free food. But it should be super accessible. And yeah, I think thinking of how can CCC really participate in like the event, and then how can CCC and you guys can advertise it, and really any feedback on making this successful, and definitely also advertising to potential users, people who are on the fence of using this technology or not. Yeah, I think these are the main ones. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And thank you, Haluka, again, for inviting us. And we appreciate, and we will try to help as much as possible.
And I appreciate you
now,
guys.
Wonderful. Now, going to the next meeting here. Anybody said something?
No, I was just real quick. I mean, look, if we're going to do that this year, probably need to get the call out to folks soon, because
Yes.
2023 budgets are getting set.
Yes.
And
good point. Yeah, we're hoping to do this like very soon, like in a week or two.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, thanks. So going to the next meeting here, we want to also, there's limited people traveling to conferences from the CCC. But one way that we could solve this, and this was a suggestion by Ravi, is to actually provide a scholarship to undergrad or grad students to attend conferences and promote CCC at those events. And we can help with travel funds, or we can provide them training as well. So for example, if we have a conference happening, I don't know, in the US, and let's say Florida, for example, and we can go to the University of Florida and see who are the students who are doing research around this area, computational computing, and we can sponsor them and to attend those events and to discuss not just those doing research around computational computing, but anything security related or privacy related. And this is a win-win situation. So we get new people from academia to promote CCC and to study CCC as well. And we get to be more distributed. It's not just the CCC, but a broader people promoting this. So we thought about setting aside a budget around 25K for that. It will be open for anyone to participate, any undergrad or grad students. And we could also seek those students if we can find them. So that's one idea. And I wanted to hear what are the thoughts from everyone about this.
I guess, Mike, you raise your hand.
Oh, I was just thinking, I think it's a cool idea. I'm wondering if we could get some more scale on it, because what I think I heard you describe is something like, how do we bring them to us and have them mix and mingle at the various events? I think that's a good idea. But what if we did something like this with the same students? What if we had like I'm going to call it a science fair, a science fair for the students, and you hold it in the mid-spring when they are starting to look for jobs and recruiters are starting to look for talent. And if you had like a mixed, do something where it's both, hey, the brightest young minds in privacy preserving technology are going to be presenting a series of papers. It could be a place where both industry, academia, can come together and basically get good ideas and look for talent. what do you think of that? And you could do this virtually rather than having them travel. So you could take that 25K and use it toward recruiting attendees to, we'll call it the virtual science fair.
Yeah, I guess I agree. I think it's actually two different things. I think there is like the traveling part, and then there is a scholarship for undergrads part, and I think it's two different things. Like I think it's a very good idea to have like undergrads have kind of summer program. For instance, like Google proposes the Google Summer of Code, and we could actually use that opportunity to have students work on this for the summer, and we can provide something similar. I've been in the open mind community, and there have been many students that have worked on the project through the Google Summer of Code. So that's one way, and I think it's interesting to either use an existing program to contribute to the projects, or maybe have a specific CCC scholarship for the students. But I think it's orthogonal to the traveling and the promotion physically to the events, because I don't know if we should expect young students who know little about the field to explain it to experts. And I think it will dilute the message or worse, damage your image if the only way we have to represent ourselves at scale is to, send students there.
Yeah.
So I think it's orthogonal subjects.
Yeah, so one of our plans regarding if the students will be able to talk about CC is that we're actually going to be providing training for them. And we're going to be creating a material around that. And I'm glad that you mentioned Google Summer of Codes as well. We actually have a fellowship program. It's called the Confidential Computing Fellowship, together with the Linux Foundation. And every project, every CCC project right now, they can have one mentee per year. And this is coming from the tech budgets. And this is already approved. And so we have the NRX project and the Veracruz project. They have some mentees already. They have participated, and we want to expand that. And I think it's related to this. I think both of your suggestions, they could work, and we need to develop this more. But I think this is a way for us to bring academia closer together. And that's one of our goals. So let's go to the next one, the next meeting. The webinars, we're setting aside 25K as well to help with the webinars. Social media, we had a proposal. Somebody from the Linux Foundation will help us there. And it's around 15K. To help us with social media, and we're likely to have this as well. And another one that we would like to discuss as well is have an analyst relations and press focus. We had a report the previous year called the Everest report, and we spent around 60,000 to create this report, which was it was a study about confidential computing and adoption and what's the future of confidential computing. And we're thinking creating something similar in that end, and to create a strategy around this. And if anybody has this is very early on, we're thinking about this. If anyone has any ideas in this sense as well, it will be very welcome.
I think there are two things we could do. I think the first one is maybe, I don't know if it costs a lot to update it, but I think it would be interesting to see, I mean, maybe not every year, maybe 2 years, something like that, but there are different scenarios that are described in the report, but they have different probabilities. And I guess it's interesting to see, like, I don't know, maybe every year or every 2 years, like in which scenario are we starting to, enter, because some are very, optimistic, and then there's a worst case scenario. Today it's hard to say, But I guess it would be good to update the report from time to time to say, hey, look, actually, we are in path 2, and yeah, it's looking that way. I think that's one thing we could do. But the second one is maybe have another report that is more industry focused. I don't know, healthcare, whatever. But like really dig into this, because when you read it, it's interesting, but you feel a bit, unsatisfied at the end, because it's still like high level, I guess. And it was important to do, and I think necessary, but I don't think it's sufficient yet. And I guess having more industry focused report could help, actors in I don't know, healthcare, finance, and so on see the interest.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel, for your suggestions. And I just saw the notes from Nicholas. We have to talk a bit more about the Wikipedia, and we have 5 minutes left. Apologies for running late, but if we could discuss a bit more about the Wikipedia editathon, and that's part of our budget as well. We don't know exactly what kind of budgets we need for that, but we're open to sponsoring that as well. And so if Aaron and Marcus, if you'd like to discuss this.
Marcus, do you want to provide an update on the logistics? I can provide an update on the content.
Yeah, I can start and do a quick one. I've met with the identified consultant that were willing to help us. I think he was almost overqualified. He'd specifically worked on both writing Wikipedia articles, and particularly those that had a high degree of what do you call it? Where there was a lot of fighting going on and a lot of politics. And I told them specifically that this won't be a political article at all. It's a tech article. Everyone's on board with it. There's no one contesting the content or anything like that. And he was happy to help us still. I don't know what the best next step would be for us. He does charge a fee. I don't know what that fee is, because I mean, obviously it's not my budget and I wasn't involved in it. I can invite him to this meeting that we have in 2 weeks, and he can present himself and give a rundown of what he was thinking. Or we could have a breakout session for the people who are interested in just the editathon, and we can have the initial meeting there. I'll leave that up to this group for discussion, what makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think inviting him to this meeting would be really great, if possible.
Okay, I will make sure he joins in 2 weeks then, and he can present himself and the services that he offers, and he can also discuss what he charges for it. But he had apparently worked with the Linux Foundation before on several projects, so he knows the people there, and he's well connected within Wikipedia to get the actual article approved once we have it written.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you so much, Marcus. Appreciate it. Aaron?
Yep. A few updates I like to share on my content. First, when I drafted the initial version of the outline, I thought it would be a one-man job with me doing everything, but many in this community, several on this call, and also folks outside who are not attending this call, have spent time contributing content and sharing ideas. So I want to thank you for that. Second, the outline has definitely expanded into an article with different contributors writing entire sections. So we're well on our way. Third, I need some help pushing this over the finish line, because I won't be able to dedicate much time to this over the next month and a half, but I want to keep the momentum going. So I'm seeking volunteers to help manage this, and primarily the responsibilities, I think, would comprise 2 areas. One is seeking contributors to write a few more sections that are missing content, and then 2, resolving any differences in opinion on certain topics.
Question on this.
What kind of which topics?
In the outline, there's some bare topics. I can pull it up, or I can just call it out for you in the doc, Mike.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, Aaron,
can
happy to help
I
as well.
drop in 1 minute? Can I have one quick question? Does the consultant that we're gonna get, will they write as well, or will the writing be on us 100%?
he actually thought the initial ask was for him to write the article, but I said that between us, we have a lot of really good writers, so I don't think that is necessary. So I see him giving us some structured guidelines on, maybe reviewing the article or saying you need to fill out this section or do it this way, and then helping us with the actual logistics of getting it submitted.
All right. My 2 cents before I have to drop off is, as Aaron said, there are a lot of places where content is needed, and we have started already kind of having disagreements in quote marks about certain things in the comments from what I see. If there is budget for that, I would imagine that it would be much easier if someone external would write this, because it would also make sure that we don't write our own wording for everything and that he gets to be a bit neutral. But that's my 2 cents in this, in case we have to discuss this.
Yeah, so thank you folks for joining the meeting. We do have budgets, and just to wrap this up, I think this is having an editor here to help us is exactly what we need. So I think we can definitely provide a budget to tackle this. And thank you again, everyone. And
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right,
thank
thanks.
you.
Thank you. See you next time.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Bye-bye.